Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really cute Easter egg shaped pot holder. And what's unique about it is it has a little pocket on the front so that you can grab your pots with it. It also has a little loop for hanging, so let's get started. You'll need the following supplies for this pot holder. If you want different fabric on the front and the back, you could buy 2 fat quarters or a 1/4 yard of regular fabric for each side. Or you could use 1/4 yard and make the fabric the same on the front or the back. You'll also need a 1/4 yard of cotton batting. You can either use extra wide double fold bias tape, or you can cut your own. And if you're going to cut your own, cut it 2 3/4 inches wide by about 40 inches, and that should be plenty. If you do not know how to cut your fabric on the bias, click on the link in the upper right hand corner and it will take you to a very detailed video on how to do your bias cut binding. I went to Walmart recently and I was looking at Easter decorations and Easter candy, and I found this Easter egg shaped candy bowl, and it is perfect to use as a template for this pot holder. So that's what I'm using. It was only $1.98. Very affordable. So you get a twofer. It's a pattern and also a candy bowl. So take your fabrics and layer them like this. Your fabric for the back, face down, your 2 layers of cotton batting or 1 layer of Insul-Bright and 1 layer of cotton batting, and whatever fabric you want on the front. Smooth it out, and I'm going to place a pin there to hold. Now I want to make this just a little bit larger than what it is, so I'm going to trace around it about a 1/2 inch all the way around larger. So just trace around it real quick like. And after you've traced it out, then go ahead and cut it out. To make the front lower portion of the pot holder, you're going to need fabric on the back, fabric on the front, and 1 layer of cotton batting in between. Now to do this, all I did was come up from the bottom of my template to the top here, which is about 4.5 inches. Now you can make yours taller. You can go 5.5 inches, and what it does is it just fits over the front lower portion of the pot holder. Then go ahead and on both pieces, scatter straight pins over the top because you're going to be doing quilting stitches. So let me give you some suggested patterns for doing your quilting stitches. You can do a straight pattern going from top to bottom and then side to side. Or you can go from corner to corner, doing the same thing. This is a serpentine stitch. Some of the sewing machines have this on there. It's a wavy line, and again, top to bottom, side to side, and you can even go corner to corner. I highly recommend you use a walking presser foot. This helps to keep the layers of your fabric from shifting so you don't get all those little tucks when you're doing your quilting stitches. You can get these on the internet, on Amazon, any sewing supply store. They're pretty affordable. You can find some probably for $30 on up. This little piece right here, a lot of people, when they purchase it, don't realize where to put this. This goes up over the screw that holds the needle in your sewing machine. I did the serpentine stitch on both pieces. After you're done doing your quilting stitches, take your piece of binding for the front portion of this pot holder and stitch it 3/8 of an inch seam along this edge here. And then after you've stitched that on, fold it over this way and press it with your iron. Then fold it over to the back and pull this folded edge right here past the stitch line, and then pin it down all the way across. After pinning it all the way across, then you're going to do stitch in the ditch, and that's where the two pieces of fabric come together. Don't stitch on the binding, but very close to the binding all the way across. After you've stitched it on, if you have any binding sticking out past these edges, then just go ahead and trim it off. Now, if you are using the pre-bought bias tape like this, it's already folded for you, then you would just take that instead of using this, you would just wrap it around the edge, pin it down, and then of course stitch close to the edge. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, this is not my favorite way of taking care of the edges. You get better results with quilt binding, but if this is what you prefer, then go ahead. Just make sure when you turn it over, you've caught the lower edge on the other side. Take the portion for the lower front and place it on the bottom, pin it down, and then do a basting stitch along the edge there, a machine basting stitch. Then up here at the top, place a pin in the top center. Take your binding strip, whether you're doing the bias tape or your own binding cut on the bias, take the end, unfold it, and then take the end, fold it over 1/4 inch. Now fold it in half and then press it the full length of the strip. Then take either your binding or your bias tape and pin it up here at the top center, right next to that pin. And you're going to begin pinning it all the way around. Now, because this is cut on the bias, it easily goes around curves. If you don't have it cut on the bias, you're going to have lots of lumps and bumps and ripples. It's not going to look very good. Your edges will curl, so it's not a great idea. So keep pinning it all the way around, and then I'll show you what to do next once you get up here. Now, as you can see, I've got my binding strip pinned on, and I stopped pinning right next to that center mark. So now you're going to insert the pot holder into your sewing machine, and you're going to stitch 3/8 inch from the raw edge in. You're going to drop your needle down right on top of your beginning end piece. Okay, the end of your binding at the very beginning, and start stitching from that point and begin to do your 3/8 inch seam. You're going to stitch all the way around, and as you come near the starting point, I'll show you what to do next. Now I'm almost back to where I started, so I'm going to stop stitching right up against the beginning of this piece right here, right at the starting point. So you're going to stop stitching as soon as you get there. So when you do, whoops, let me go forward, go back in, and stop, and then back stitch a little bit. Have the back side of your pot holder facing up. Place the top edge of the pot holder on one of your lines on your cutting mat. Count over 4.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a half right here. And then cut the excess binding off. Have the front side of your pot holder facing up, and at the very end of your binding strip here, you want to cut a little square out. So you're going to cut in this way, but stop about 1/4 inch from your folded edge and then cut in this way. Have the square facing up that you just cut out. Now take the end of the binding strip and fold it over 1/4 inch and press. Then take this raw edge down here and fold it up about 3/8 of an inch. And you're going to press it all the way down. Then take this folded edge and bring it over to this folded edge. And then press one more time. Fold the binding over towards the back, and you'll find it'll come up around those edges really easily. Starting at this corner right here of the binding, this end, you're going to take this folded edge and pull it past your stitch line where you stitched it on from the front. It's really important that you pull that folded edge past. So go ahead and pin it down. And you're going to continue pulling this edge past the stitch line all the way around and pinning it down. You want to stop pinning as soon as you get back to your starting position. Now let's go to my sewing machine and I'll show you how to stitch it down. Now start stitching in the ditch. And the ditch is where the binding and the other fabric come together. Now you're not going to stitch on the binding, but you're going to stitch right next to it. And you're going to start right there where the two ends meet. So you want to manually lower your needle down right there in that spot. And then begin stitching right there in that ditch. And stitch all the way around till you come back to where you started. Make sure the end of your binding is folded, and you're going to pull it straight out like this. Now begin stitching up over the top of your binding, and you're going to go straight down this edge here where the two edges of the binding are folded together, and begin stitching it together all the way down. And when you get to the end, you're here, almost there, and stop right there at the end, turn it, and stitch the bottom part. And back stitch. Take the very end down here and just push it like this and place it behind the pot holder. Then turn the pot holder over, place it like this, and then take a pin and pin it together. Turn the pot holder where it's front side up, and you're going to stitch a little square, rectangle sort of square right up in here, just to hold that piece down in the back. So lower your needle down in and stitch across a little ways, maybe 5 stitches, and you can remove the pin now, and then stitch down a couple of stitches, turn it, stitch across, turn it again, stitch back up towards the top, and then stitch back across one more time, back stitch, and then you're done. And you have a nice little pot holder that you can reach inside. If you are interested in other Easter holiday projects, go to the green screen at the end of this video and click on the links. Now, if you liked this video, click on that old thumbs up button. And click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red button down there in the lower right hand portion of your screen. Don't forget to enter your email address and click on that little bell notification so that you will receive emails about my latest video. I'm Cheryl, and I'm so glad you came to my sewing room. I'll see you next time, and don't forget, happy sewing.